This week on Dateline Schools, we're taking a look at vaping in our schools and what our kids are trying to get away, so to speak, with that, but also what our schools are doing to prevent this from becoming a bigger issue. So tell us all about it. My special guest all this week is Port Huron Police Officer and School Resource Officer in the Port Huron School District, Dennis Huisman. And Dennis, yesterday you gave us a kind of a pretty good glimpse of what kids try to do and get away with this. What actually happens if they break the school policy for smoking or vaping and you're called into action?
Ultimately, a lot of them do get caught. We walk in on somebody vaping, or we get word that someone has a vape on them. So when we get that information, usually the school officials, school administration will go and find the kid and talk to them, and most likely we'll find the vape. School hands out their discipline, and then they turn it over to me. Just recently this year, we passed a city ordinance here in the city of Port Huron that allows us to write a ticket. It's a civil infraction. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's just like a simple speeding ticket that the student receives or a kid will receive for being in possession of a vape. It's the minimal cost. Doesn't go on their permanent record. But that's how I handle it, and then I also take their vape, which for most kids, that is the worst punishment of all, because some of these vapes are not cheap. Some of them are kind of cheaper, but some of them, they're up to $60, $70 a piece, and that's the biggest hit the kid takes.
Just the feeling of getting caught doesn't sit too well with most of them either.
No, usually when I'm walking down the hallway and there's a kid behind me with their head sunk down, walking back to my office, a lot of the people know, like, oh, they got caught.
Have you found that, you started in the schools about a year ago. Yeah, have you see it increasing, and especially more kids that you're talking to every day about this?
I don't see an increase. I think it's pretty much stayed the same. We've been catching more, but I think that's because we're more proactive now. Now that we have this civil infraction here in the city of Port Huron, we can actually, me as a police officer, I can actually do something about it. Before the civil infraction, the school would hand out their discipline, and I would just sit in the background and say, well, good job, I'm glad you guys caught them, but it's not illegal. I can't do anything about it. This civil infraction is now another tool in my tool belt that I can use to help proactively stop vaping in the schools.
So what kind of punishment can the schools hand down?
The school it varies what they want to do. I've been seeing anywhere from suspension to detention. They can have a kind of a sliding scale on what they do with vaping. For me, it's a $50 citation, and I take the vape. It's pretty straightforward. As it goes on, if I catch them a second time, it's another $50, but then there's also the chance that they might have to do some community service on top of that.
We'll be back with more tomorrow. For Dateline Schools, I'm Terry Harrington.